and welcome to Find Your Nottingham Live, a virtual open day brought to you by the University of Nottingham. I'm Annabelle Rackham and I'm delighted to be back here where both Deepak and I studied, to tell you all about this brilliant university and everything it has to offer.
Hi everyone, I'm Deepak Kataria and it's great to be here hosting this event for all of you who are interested in postgraduate study. Annabelle and I have been both lucky enough to experience what Nottingham has to offer and how that can change your life and take you to the places you want to go.
Thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the world today, and we hope that this event will help provide you with all the information that you need to choose Nottingham as the place to study.
We will be hearing from key people across the university to tell you more about the things we know are important to you when making your decision. You'll hear from our support services, you'll hear from our students, and you'll also hear from the academics specializing in the areas you're most interested in.
Throughout the show today, you can submit any questions you have via the QR code that is now showing on the screen. We have a team working away behind the scenes who will be answering these for you during the event. If you're watching this on the university website, you can find out more about any of the topics we cover using the links in the schedule below.
Before we welcome our first guests, our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Jane Norman, would like to welcome you to the event.
Hello, I'm Professor Jane Norman, and it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome you to Find Your Nottingham Live here at the University of Nottingham. Wherever in the world you're tuning in from, we're delighted to have you with us here today. Thank you for taking the time to find out what makes Nottingham such a unique place for postgraduate study. We've designed this event with you in mind, so we hope you find it both informative and inspiring. Our institution is dedicated to academic excellence, world-leading research, and providing a transformative educational experience that will prepare you for the future. Our postgraduate courses are designed to unlock your full potential, propelling you towards your career goals. The skills and specialist knowledge you'll learn here will provide you with the perfect launchpad for whatever comes next. We're a member of the prestigious Russell Group of Universities and proud to be named a top 20 UK university in the latest QS World University Rankings. We also have a rich history of groundbreaking research. Nottingham is the birthplace of MRI, and the latest REF rankings placed us 7th in the UK for research power. If you ask me what's special about Nottingham, I'd have to say it's a vibrant, inclusive community we've created here, one that blends innovation with tradition. We're also a global university. We have campuses in China and Malaysia, while Nottingham itself is home to students from more than 150 countries. Our graduates are also highly sought after by leading companies worldwide. The 2024 High Flyers Graduate Market Report named us as the third most targeted UK university by the country's top employers. In fact, your success when you leave here is just as important to us as your time on campus. It's why our courses will equip you with the real-world skills, experiences and connections you need to get ahead. We also offer expert careers advice for life, meaning we'll be here whenever you need us. Here at Nottingham, you'll find beautiful, vibrant and diverse campuses, complete with cutting-edge facilities, all within easy reach of the historic city of Nottingham, a green city with a legendary past and a bright future. Choosing a university for your postgraduate study is a big decision, and we want you to know that you're not alone on this journey. Our dedicated staff are here to support you every step of the way. Today, you'll hear from our wonderful faculty members and current postgraduate students who will share their experiences and insights into life at the University of Nottingham. Although we may not be together in person, I encourage you to engage with us and ask any questions you may have. We want to ensure that you have a comprehensive understanding of what it means to be part of our community. As we begin today's event, I invite you to open your minds to the possibilities that await you here at Nottingham. We're excited to share our story and show you why we believe this is the right place for you to pursue your dreams. Thank you once again for joining us, and let's embark on this journey together. Enjoy the event.
Today's event focuses on science. All the subjects included have been chosen because they complement each other as areas of interest or allow you to discover another subject you may not have considered before.
There are so many options available to you, so it's always worth spending a bit of time to see what else might inspire you. Have a look at the schedule to see what's coming up. Remember to ask any questions you have using the QR code. We'll be right back with our first guests after this.
So my name is Vaishnavi Natekar. I'm originally from Mumbai, India, and I came to University of Nottingham to study MSc Food Production Management. So this subject stood out to me majorly because it complements my interests. It's a mix of both food science and management, so it brings in the business side of the field as well. So I get to study food technology from scratch, and I did a placement on the management part of it. So I think that's a good decision for me. For my research project, I did an industrial placement at a company called Sauce Shop. So it was based on improving their productivity, increasing their production rates, and reducing their labor costs. So it was more of a quality management based project. So I got to learn a lot about sauce production and how UK-based small industries work. My favorite aspect about this course would be the direct exposure to the industry. So the placement, it's like a very big hands-on learning experience, especially for an international student to get a job afterwards in this industry. It's important for me to have experience like that. So my placement has been extremely valuable for me, even in terms of giving interviews. I'm able to answer more confidently now that I've actually worked in a setup like that. I have enjoyed presenting to my professors and my friends, and also like students from various courses, so that's a really good way of networking. I also had people coming in from different businesses and talking to me and getting to know more about what work I have done, so that was really nice to see. But most importantly, it was the fact that my industry partners showed up, so they came along and joined my presentation. So yes, I was very grateful for that. Initially, like a month ago, it would have been finding a job. I've secured a position on the graduate scheme for Sainsbury's, so I'm excited to join that. Yeah. I would recommend this course firstly because of the university. I think the university has a lot to offer. So the amount of effort our professors have put into building our CVs and making sure that we have strong CVs when we get out of this place has been very valuable to me personally.
Joining me in the studio now is Dr. Amanda Avery, Postgraduate Admissions Director for the School of Biosciences. Welcome to you. So can you start by telling me about what the School of Biosciences at Nottingham offers in terms of the master's courses and why it's such a special place to study?
Yeah, so we offer a diversity of different postgraduate master's programmes within the School of Biosciences, which includes animal nutrition, biotechnology, clinical nutrition, food production management, nutritional sciences.
And what are some of the industry opportunities for students?
Yes, so all of our programmes are nicely linked with industry, and there's different opportunities. We embrace we collaborate really well with people within industry in that some will come as guest lecturers, some will offer perhaps research project titles, and some will actually pose as different problems that they want to have solved. So it could be that they're struggling, for example, with a particular product, and they want to see if our students can work through that problem and ensure that the production goes more smoothly, and that they're able to produce a product that is really fit for purpose. Or they could be challenging our students to try and invent a sustainable, innovative product that's new to the market. So, for example, our students within food production management work with Unilever, they work with Mars, they work with PepsiCo, so some really big names. So there's real diversity in terms of how industry support our students to further develop their skills.
And in terms of the school's research,
Yes.
how does that shape the learning experience for students?
Yeah, so besides being an educator or facilitating the learning of our master's students, most of our lecturers are also very active in research. So they're passionate both about the teaching delivery, and they're also passionate about their research. So, for example, my own particular research is quite broad, looks at nutrition and health in its broadest context. In that I will have some research, ongoing research that looks at the management of childhood obesity, some that will be looking at the management or prevention and management of gestational diabetes, so women's health, particularly during pregnancy, and supporting international students in their research journey who might come from high income countries, or also students who come from lower income countries where, for example, you might have the double burden of malnutrition, so where obesity, for example, coexists with stunting in children. So across all of the programs that we offer, you've got that person who will facilitate the learning, and also the person who is very active in research. So all of our teaching is research informed at Nottingham and within the School of Biosciences.
And you kind of touched on it there, but what is it about the University of Nottingham itself? Why should students choose to study this course here?
Yes, yeah. So we're very, very proud about, of the programs we deliver. So you've got those people delivering the programs that are really passionate, and I think that's very important because hopefully that comes across to the students. The School of Biosciences is actually at the Sutton Bonington campus, so a beautiful campus, very peaceful, very safe, very calm. All of our students have a personal tutor who will really ensure that not only can our students excel academically, but also that they're offered the appropriate pastoral support. Because, it's hard, particularly for international students who may not have studied in the UK previously, to suddenly come to a new country and to be studying an intense master's programme where they learn so much so quickly and develop so many wider, more broader skills. And to think, again, in terms of why are we special, we really do embrace the wider transferable skills that are required for our students to become very employable. And we are very proud that our graduates are so employable. So it's not just about acquiring additional knowledge, it's about being able to apply that knowledge into a range of different practical situations, and huge diversity. And it's special because we have this wonderful global feel about our programs. We've got a diversity of students from across the globe, and that really enriches the learning.
And finally, how do these courses, the master's courses, help to launch a successful career for students who choose to study here?
Yes, so I've just briefly then touched on the transferability of skills. So we want our students to have knowledge, but also the ability to apply that knowledge to a range of different scenarios. That's so important to us. We want our students to be able to present their knowledge verbally or in a written report to a very high standard so that they do stand out, and that they are able to work collaboratively within a team. So there's quite a lot of teamwork as well within the learning journey for our students. We want our students to be able to embrace that so that they can work well as a team in whatever industry or setting that they go on to choose. Some of our students, actually quite a high proportion of our students, actually want to stay with us. They want to continue their learning and perhaps venture to doctoral level studies. So we have a number of students who will do their master's programme with us, and then they'll stay and undertake their PhD as well, which then further, of course, enhances their future employability, because most of our research areas are quite niche in terms of being innovative, and in areas where there will be a future demand. So we're very good at looking at sort of emerging areas that are going to be critical going forward.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll be right back after this. Our guest now is Dr. Colin Johnson, Director of Education and Student Experience for the School of Computer Science. Thank you very much for joining me. So I want to start by asking, what are some of the degrees that are offered and how can students tailor the degrees to their career aspirations?
So in the School of Computer Science, we have a number of degrees in computer science, artificial intelligence, data science, cybersecurity and human-computer interaction. And these offer the opportunity either to get a broad education in an area like computer science with lots of choices, or they offer the opportunity to specialise. So, for example, data is becoming increasingly important across the economy and society, and so students can specialise in data science and combine knowledge of statistics and visualisation and computer data analysis, or they can specialise in human-computer interaction, where you understand at a deep level how people interact with all sorts of interfaces ranging from phones to laptops to virtual worlds.
And why is it that Nottingham is such a great choice for students who want to study something like computer science, artificial intelligence or cybersecurity?
I think one of the great things about Nottingham is we have a very large postgraduate student community here. We have hundreds of students doing computer science each year, and that gives you a number of advantages. Firstly, you're part of a large community, you meet future leaders in your field, you meet people who you're going to be working with throughout your lives. Secondly, it means we get to offer a lot of choice, a lot of options, a lot of engagement with our various research labs, both within computer science and across the university, so that students are not only prepared for the jobs and things immediately after graduation, but also so that you're prepared for the future, so that you're prepared for the medium and longer term future.
And how does the school's research and industry collaboration shape the learning experience for students?
We've got a number of collaborations which feed into student learning. So just to give a few examples, we've got a growing collaboration with the National Rehabilitation Centre looking into robotics for healthcare, for helping people who've had injuries recover and remake their lives. We've got collaborations in the cybersecurity area. So for example, we've got our malware lab where students, we can isolate that lab from the broader internet, and students can work on real practical stuff in computer security, defeating attacks on computers and so on. And we've got growing links with the public sector. So for example, we've got a project involving collaboration with the Department of Transport on public transport data and smart cities, and in computers for understanding agriculture and processing satellite images for agriculture. And all these things impact both upon the shape of our curriculum, but also on student projects. So we encourage students to get involved in projects that are linked with these research labs, and that lays a good foundation for the future.
And what are some of the most exciting developments you would say in computer science at the moment, and how is the University of Nottingham preparing students to thrive in these growth areas?
I think clearly one of the highest profile areas is around artificial intelligence and machine learning. On our degrees, we have a number of taught modules in those areas that are informed and constantly updated with new material and so on, so students get to learn the latest techniques in those areas and to critique those and to understand both the advantages and disadvantages as well as the technical skills. I think the second big growth area is understanding the wider context for computer science. So computers are how we do everything in the world now. So almost every area of human activity, whether it's economic, social, political, cultural, is impacted by computing. And so we're increasingly having taught modules and student projects which look at the social context of computing. So how can you not just do the technical work, but how can you advocate for computing for social good? How can you engage with policymakers around important issues around artificial intelligence, for example?
And what are some of the career paths that your most recent graduates have gone into?
I think there's a number of directions, and some students come in with a very clear direction they want to go into, user experience or data science or software development. For those, we can provide advice about what modules to choose. Some will want to start their own businesses, and there's a lot of support across the university for students who want to do that. Some will go and work for smaller companies, startup companies and so on. And we've got good contacts, particularly in terms of student projects, with some organisations that will place students in smaller companies. And I think some students really like that. They really like going and engaging with a smaller organisation and getting really involved in lots of different aspects of the organisation, whereas some others will go and work for large tech companies, and that's the direction they want to go in. They want to have be part of some large international organisation.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and we will be right back after this.
And now I would like to introduce Dr. Maggie Leo and Dr. Lucia Hackemuller from the School of Physics and Astronomy to tell us all about some of the master's courses we offer and why these are such exciting areas to study. Welcome both. So just so we get started, could you both give us an overview of your respective master's program? So that would be machine learning in science for Maggie and quantum science and technology for Lucia. And if you can explain us why they are such exciting and rapidly growing areas of study and research today. Yeah.
So you've probably heard like the huge buzz around machine learning, or as some people call it, artificial intelligence. It's pretty much revolutionary right now for how we make discoveries in science. And I think one of the reasons behind that is because of the huge like data deluge that we're in. Like our scientific instruments and simulations are just generating so much data. It's just so much that we don't have the capacity to analyze them ourselves with like traditional methods. And this is where machine learning becomes really essential. So machine learning is the field of study where you apply algorithms that can analyze your data and perform tasks without like giving it explicit instructions, right? And our program, Machine Learning in Science at the University of Nottingham, aims to kind of train the next generation of scientists to harness this power. And I think, I don't even know what to say. It's just a big upcoming kind of area that if you're not going to get involved in, then you're going to miss out, because it's so important with all the data that we need to analyze. In our program, you're not just going to learn about the algorithms, but you'll get the chance to apply them to projects relating to cutting edge research. So this could be anything from, say, analyzing genomic data, to understanding disease mechanisms, to creating AI tools for discovering new materials. There's just so much that you can do. And we really take a kind of hands-on approach to this. We get our students involved in research projects, and this gives them kind of a competitive advantage in the job market. We also give them so many transferable like skills, things like data analysis, programming, problem solving, so they can go out and work in other fields too. I think the demand for machine learning in science is just growing like exponentially. It's everywhere, not just academia, industry, governments, everywhere.
Great. And Lucia, if you had to answer for quantum science and technology.
So the year 2025 is actually the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology. And that is for a reason, because we all think that it will be very important for the future of the world, basically. So this is really innovative research and technology that will enable us in the very near future to do computations that we have not been able to do ever before, to do them faster than ever before with quantum computers. And the other very interesting area is sensing, to create sensors that are sensible and have such a precision that we can now go into areas that we have not been able to explore before, and that can be precision in gravity, that can be understanding what actually is underneath our floor, how can we find better resources, how can we do better mapping, how can we do better navigation, how can we do better timing. All of that is opened to us through quantum technology. So we are really at the moment in time where this whole area is on the brink of really exploding, of really being applicable to our everyday world. So quantum computers are not really there yet, but almost. Companies, huge companies like Microsoft, Google, Intel, they are all working on their programs to bring these to the societies. And quantum sensing is working perfectly fine in laboratories, and is now at the stage where it is taken out of labs and we bring it into the field. And also there some research is still necessary to make them more robust, but this is something that we actively work with. And that brings me to Nottingham. So Nottingham is outstanding led through its research. So one exciting area of quantum technologies is using quantum technologies for brain imaging that has been developed in Nottingham, and that, for example, makes it possible to apply this type of imaging now in unusual situations, like for children who move around, or to detect something quickly. So our program is driven by the exciting research that we do, and we also give the students will have the opportunity to work with researchers on programs that are linked to that research and to be involved in that exciting work.
That's great. You have already answered about how Nottingham can be a standout choice for the students. So staying with you, Lucia, if you could also tell us about how does the curriculum at Nottingham prepares the students for the future, particularly in terms of addressing the global needs of the skilled graduates in these fields, if you can comment on that.
So for the quantum and technology course, the course has two pathways. That is a theoretical pathway and a quantum technology pathway, a more hands-on practical pathway. And that is a demand that has come from industry, because what industry currently needs are people who can work in both areas or who can talk to experimentalists who can talk to theorists and the other way around, so have an understanding. So our course, therefore, will prepare the students in an excellent way to thrive in the upcoming quantum science and technology industry and research.
Great. So Maggie, if I could ask you, like looking ahead, what are the emerging trends for or growing areas in machine learning and quantum technology that students would be excited about, and how is Nottingham positioned to equip graduates to lead in these areas?
Great question. Well, as I said, machine learning, that field is exploding, and quantum technology, as we heard from Lucia, is just beginning. I think one exciting area is combining the two of them, machine learning and quantum computing. So quantum computers, they have the potential to solve some of the problems that even with the most powerful classical computers, you wouldn't be able to solve. So combining that with machine learning, well, you could make leading breakthroughs in things like drug discovery and optimizing problems and all sorts of things. So I think that's super exciting. Another trend that I'm excited about is the development of explainable AI. So machine learning algorithms, as they get more complex, we need to know more than ever, like, why are they giving those answers that they're predicting, right? So explainable AI is looking at creating models that are transparent, which it's really important in science because we want to trust and be able to interpret these models. And I think the University of Nottingham is like perfectly equipped to do this. We're well positioned to equip our graduates to lead in areas of machine learning and quantum AI because we have world-class researchers here. We're working at the forefront of these areas. I also think like the way that we tend to do research-focused, hands-on kind of projects really ties into it. It prepares our students not only with the knowledge, but also with the skills to succeed in their future for any challenges and opportunities that come their way. We're also very committed to providing our students with the state-of-the-art resources. So technologies like GPUs, high-performance computing things, facilities, that makes us highly desirable and super important in the fields of machine learning and quantum technologies.
Thank you for these amazing insights. I think it gives a lot of perspective to students who are looking to study these courses at Nottingham. And we'll be right back after this.
The School of Mathematical Science appealing to me because it has such a great reputation and a ranking consistently among those institutes for the academic quality and research excellence. So this reputation combined with the opportunity to study with those famous top leading experts is also one of the reasons that encouraged me to make my decision. One of the best things I like for the University of Nottingham, which is the international and friendly academic atmosphere. So the university attracts the students from all over the world and build up such a diverse group, and it has really enriched my experience to study here. And collaborating with the students from different cultural backgrounds, which could help me to learn the knowledge and learn the concepts from different angles, And as we often share our ideas and working together and share our unique insights and approaches to solve those statistical questions. I would like to say my favorite module in Nottingham, which is the module named the Statistical Machine Learning. So this module covers a wide range of machine learning algorithms and statistical methods, such as regression, clustering, classifications, dimensional reduction, etc. So in this module, we don't only learn the theoretical aspects of the machine learning, but we also implement those algorithms to the real-world data sets. So by doing that, we could also know the algorithms' utility and their limitations when it applies to the real-world scenarios.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Rudiger Toole and Theo Kiprios from the postgraduate admissions team in the School of Mathematical Sciences to tell us about some of our courses that we offer. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So to get started, can you answer by telling me what master's program do we offer and what makes Nottingham a special place to study these?
So we offer really an exciting range of master programs. For instance, you could sign up to our Masters in Statistics and Statistical with Machine Learning. So they will equip you with advanced statistical methodology, so you're ready for the world of data that's around us. If you can't come to Nottingham, we also offer the MSc in Statistical Sciences, which is our distance learning program. And for those of you who would like to do like financial math, we have a really exciting program in financial and computational mathematics. And now, I don't know, maybe you are interested in physics. So we have a program in gravity, particle and fields, which looks at fundamental problems in physics. And then recently, we are going to launch a new MSc in quantum science and technology. And so I think what makes Nottingham a really great place is that you can do your research project with companies such as Capital One, which is a local company. Another point that I think is really great is that our teaching is really informed by our research. And so Nottingham is happy to have 3 great centers: the Center for Mathematical Medicine and Biology, the Center for Mathematical and Theoretical Physics on non-equilibrium quantum physics. I appreciate that's a mouthful. And then the Center for Gravity in Nottingham. And so the last point that I think is important in our world today is that some of the problems are not just in one box. So you want to have interdisciplinary skill sets. And that's really reflected in our teaching. So we work together with the School of Physics or the School of Economics, for instance.
Perfect. And we know that statistical modeling and data analytics are huge growing areas across range of sectors. So how do our master's courses give the students the knowledge and skills to succeed in their careers?
Sure. So data actually is everywhere and ever increasing. And when we think about data, we should not really be thinking just about numbers. We should be thinking about, posting something on Facebook is data, tweeting on X or Twitter is also data, a video, a sound. These are all different kinds of forms of data, and you need tools and methods to analyze complex data in several domains. So in Nottingham, we have a strong track record in developing new and exciting machine learning and statistical methods to analyze such complex data from several kind of domains. And our MSCs offer students a solid background into statistics and machine learning. When you start, you learn kind of the fundamentals of statistics and probability, including machine learning. And then building on that knowledge, in the second semester, you have a variety of modules to choose from different areas in statistics and machine learning.
Perfect. And I believe you're about to launch a new master's course in conjunction with the business school, which is Data Analytics and AI. Sounds really interesting to me. So can you tell me a bit more about this?
Sure. We are really excited about this program. It's a new program that is in collaboration with the Nottingham University Business School and offers the students a solid foundation of the approaches that are used in data analytics and AI technologies to solve problems in data-rich and data-driven environment. Similar to the statistics and MSc programs, the students will start with modules which offer the foundations, and then there's a large selection of modules to pick up in the spring. And either you can choose and pick which modules you would like to do, or you can specialize in different pathways, for instance, in health, statistics, or business. This program has been designed in collaboration with the industry. So we spoke to employers to find out what they are looking for from prospective students. And all the way from the design, we're going to have some guest lectures from people in the industry, and also having projects being supervised by colleagues in industry, in collaboration, of course, with the university. So we're really, really excited about it.
That's great. And the school has a great track record of graduate employment. What companies and roles do our graduates go into?
Yeah, it's really true that graduates from Nottingham are highly sought after by employers. And we have a range of exciting companies that our graduates go to. For instance, they work for Amazon. Some of the students worked for Merrill Lynch. Then they go on, we have Capital One here in Nottingham. So that's another way where they can work. Then if you want to do aerospace engineering, actually they work for BAE. And so our students really feel at home in these companies. And maybe to just put that a bit into context. So one of our graduates works now for Merrill, formerly known as Merrill Lynch. And he's actually the lead for what is known as equities value at risk backtesting. Now, I appreciate that sounds a bit complicated, but what it is those he looks at the risk of these companies and tries to figure out if the losses that the company occurs are actually bigger than anticipated. And you understand that it's a really important issue for companies, but it's also important for regulatory purposes, like for the SEC. And part of his job is also to automate these processes and make them more efficient. And when chatting with him, he said that we prepared him really well for his new role. And so he was excited to take the knowledge that he gained at Nottingham and he could translate that straight into his job, like Markov chain Monte Carlo. So he said he was really coming in, hitting the ground running, and that's obviously something great for us to hear.
If I may add on this, we had another student who did actually the statistics MSc a few years back, and he went straight to work in a retail company as a data analyst. And a few years down the line, I find out that basically he works for the Everton Football Club as a data analyst, scouting players for the football team, predicting football matches, and so on. This is an area that has seen huge growth in the last years, and we have quite a few graduates going down that route. And that actually tells that the methods that students learn in our MSCs can be applied in very, very different domains.
That's some really interesting case studies there. So is there, finally, is there anything else you would like to add from what you have already covered?
Well, I think when students come to Nottingham, and especially the School of Mathematical Sciences, they will feel a buzz around them. I mean, we are an extremely vibrant and engaging school, and so that translates into the classroom, and then students can see and feel what it means to do mathematics and really translate it into the real world. And given that we have such a broad expertise, we can cover so many different areas, and sometimes students even learn about ideas that they haven't encountered before, and you see them walking off even doing some environmental consultancy, which I think is super exciting because that is something that even we didn't think would happen. So it's fantastic to just feel that.
Yeah. We should not forget that we have a beautiful building where both Rudy and I have offices as our other colleagues, and also we sit on a beautiful campus. And I think it's a nice place to come and work and study.
Thank you for all those amazing insights today. And we'll be right back after this.
I love Nottingham, the home of Robin Hood. From the bright lights of Goose Fair to the peaceful nature of the Sherwood Forest woods. There's a feeling of togetherness, unity, pure, honest, love. And that feels great like a bright summer's day at the horses down by the lake at Colwick Hall. I love Nottingham. The River Trent, the embankment, the Nottingham Carnival, different cultures dancing. The diversity, just walking down Columbus Street on a Saturday. The two lions in the square stand tall with pride. And when the markets in town come alive, it gives me life. Listen, as the council house clock chimes, and depending on how many times, lets you know the time. I've been to concerts at the Motorpoint Arena, and I've been to concerts at the Nottingham Caves. I've been here all my life and I'm still amazed by this place. I love Nottingham. Sometimes I stare at Hockley's graffiti colourful walls, and sometimes I gaze at the deers running around Woollerton Hall. Supreme thrills, from chilling up at Green's Mill or up at that castle on the hill. Nottingham, I love you, and I always will. Visit Nottingham today.
We now welcome Paddy Ty, Professor of Molecular Immunology, to tell us about the Bioinformatics course here at Nottingham. So welcome to you. First of all, could you start by telling me what is bioinformatics and how does it integrate with other scientific disciplines?
Well, bioinformatics is really draws together biology, it draws computational sciences and information sciences together so that we can take complex biological data, which we're generating in vast amounts now, and actually start to make sense of it in terms of what it actually means. So in terms of what we do as bioinformaticians, not only do we use existing software that's already out there, but we also want people to design new software to ask new questions, things that haven't been previously looked at. So it's a combination of software design, software use, data storage, data management and curation, so that we can get insight into biological processes of all sorts.
So why is this important, would you say, in today's society?
We generate masses of data looking at different types of biological subjects. But in today's society, really, you can put it down to things like healthcare, where the data that we generate from people's genetics and that we generate when we sample people's blood, etc., when we look, then that can be used to help us diagnose patients. It helps us understand where diseases are, how diseases are generated, helps us design new drugs. If we look away from the health sciences, then you can also look at bioinformatics being used to understand the environment around us, the plants, the fungi, the bacteria, and how those are changing with perhaps things like climate change in polluted soils, saline environments, so that we can understand better what adaptations organisms have to make, which could be quite useful for us in the future if we have to make those adaptations in our own crops and animals.
So are you doing any real-world applications on this course?
Yes, there is a project on the course. There are two projects. There's a group project, and then there is an individual project later on in the course where students are allocated to a supervisor who has a biological problem to solve that requires a bioinformatics approach. So we give people, and these, in terms of supervisors, these people may be in the medical area looking at viruses and viral variants. They may be in more looking at plants. They may be looking at ecological changes, so studying environmental DNA to find out what's in a particular environment. They may be looking at the relationship between different species and their genomes to understand what those species, how those species have changed over an evolutionary period of time.
And can you share with me any breakthroughs or research achievements in this field that have come from the university?
Yes, well, there was one that's, it's a bit old now, but it's still a really interesting one, which is Professor Matt Luce and his team here, who Matt Luce teaches on the course. They use a specific type of next generation sequencer, which allows you to sequence long pieces of DNA. And in 2018, they actually set the record for the longest piece of DNA ever sequenced. It was to prove a point, really, that these machines are able to sequence thousands upon thousands of base pairs of DNA in one go, which most sequencers do not do. They look at very short pieces of DNA, but they assemble a genome from them. The longer pieces you can look at, the easier it is to assemble some genomes, because of where they've got repeated sequences in the genome. You can't really, short sequences don't allow you to reassemble them. But they managed to do 2.3 million base pairs on a machine which would fit in the palm of your hand, which was quite an achievement, and it was reported at the time. Other things we've done recently include things like we have members of staff who've been studying whale genomics to understand what adaptations whales went through to actually return to the sea, get huge, deal with cancer, make them more resistant to cancer, etc. We also have people looking at environmental DNA so that we can look at biodiversity in both the local and other environments. And we've got people looking at adaptations of plants, as I've said, to difficult environments, because they're really going to teach us a lot about what we're going to need for the future.
And when students are on these courses, what are the sort of skills that they're going to really learn and develop?
Okay, so the first part of the first module on the course involves them. We will teach them to become proficient in some programming languages. So we'll do Python, which is a very popular program language now. We'll teach them how to use the R statistical programming language, because those two can be tied together so that you can operate Python code with R code, etc. R is a great way to be able to visualize your data. And also it allows you to do statistical analyses. So often we get lots of data, but at the end of the day, we can't just say there's a difference. We have to say, is that a significant difference statistically? So they will learn how to do those languages. They'll also learn how to use the Unix command line. And that's important because one of the skills they do get or they get a chance to play with Ada, who is our high performance computing service. And that's for when they have tasks which can't be done on a laptop computer. It will not be able to cope with the amount of data and the range of the analysis. So we try and teach them that. They get taught about genomics and phylogeny. They get taught about sequence annotation and how we understand DNA sequences more fully. They have projects which involve them sometimes looking at the expressed genome, which is when a gene is expressed, cells are dynamically expressing different genes. And so that is quite important in understanding things like how cells differentiate, what happens in, say, something like a tumor, what happens as a seed develops into a plant, what happens when a bacteria becomes adapted to a new environment. So they learn about all of these, but there's a lot of hands-on skill there. We get them on computers very early so that they build their own skills, so that at the end of the day, they're not just knowing how to use things, but they know how to write their own programs to do different things. Yeah.
And you mentioned, research there.
Yes.
They get to undertake any research projects on this course?
Yes, they do. The final individual research project is one, as I said, with a supervisor, and we find someone who's got an interesting biological problem. We ask supervisors to give us options, and then the students can be allocated or can choose an option, and then they will have a period of roughly 3 months where their entire focus is that project, and they'll have the data for the project. The supervisor may already have the data, or they'll be generating it, and they are then tasked with a final sort of pulling that data together and teasing apart the important parts of it and relating that to the original biological question. So we do have a great mixture of projects, from looking at distributions of organisms in environments, invasive species, looking at how they can form hybrids with a closely related species, but ultimately take over an area because of their vigor. We have people looking at things like just individual molecules and how sort of ribosomes are needed to take your RNA sequences that you get from the genome and turn them into proteins that do a function, but looking at the adaptations within ribosome sequences that allow them to specialize in particular tasks. So we do have a lot of very varied projects for people.
And finally, what are some of the jobs that you can go into after undertaking this master's?
Just
a couple.
Okay, a couple of them are, obviously there's the route to go and do a PhD and go further in science itself. The other option is to go down the route of industry. The pharmaceuticals industry are very interested in bioinformaticians, because if you're making a new drug, you need to have all of that biological data so that you can understand how that drug is affecting a particular set of cells. Environmental agencies and governments, because if you're building new houses, you need to check that the site doesn't have any endangered species on it. So you can actually check that by getting DNA from the local pond, and then you can analyze to see within that DNA, is there a great crested newt DNA, in which case you have to come up with a plan to mitigate any building that you do. So the world is pretty much, and that's only doing bioinformatics. People also go down just the data analysis route, and they go and work for companies that don't have a relationship with bioinformatics as such, but they're very interested in people who know how to deal with large data sets. So it's pretty much an open field for people.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Paddy.
My pleasure.
And we will be right back after this.
I am now joined by Dave Feely, Head of Direct Admissions, to talk us through the application process for postgraduate study. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
So, as we know, for most people applying to undergraduate courses, they can get advice from their schools or UCAS about the process. But at postgraduate level, there isn't the same structures in place. What advice would you give to someone looking to apply for a postgraduate course?
First of all, I'll try and think about what you're trying to get out of your postgraduate course. Whether you're looking for career progression, in which case, which course is going to provide that for you. Some people are studying postgraduate courses mainly for interest-based, in which case take a look at the modules that you'll be sitting inside the course as well. There's lots of courses that have very similar titles, but the content is very different. So it's worth taking a look at the modules and making sure that course you'll be studying what you want to study. It's worth going onto websites to look at the entry criteria. So many of our courses will have an overall grade as an entry criteria, but there'll also be courses that have module specifics or subject specifics that you need to be studying in your current course. So it's worth going on to make sure that the course you're taking will prepare you correctly for the master's course that you want to study. But it's worth noting that with the entry criteria, you don't need to have met all the criteria before you've applied. The majority of our students will be applying to as well, still studying on their pre-year course, and we'll be able to make them a decision based on their progress to that point on their undergraduate level course.
So once an application has been submitted, what happens next?
Okay, so our team will pick that up and we'll start processing that based on the information that you've provided on your application form. You will have created a My Nottingham Hub account as part of your application process. And through that, you'll be able to go back there whenever you want to and check the progression of your application. The team themselves are very experienced and they receive applications from qualifications all over the world. So the chances are they will have seen your qualifications before and understand them. But it's worth always checking your inbox and your spam box just in case we do have any questions, because if we do, that's how we'll choose to contact you. If you think that you might have missed a communication from us, if you've not heard from us, then you can go back on to check your My Nottingham accounts. And here we'll have uploaded any communication that we've tried to send you. So you can go on there and just to check. Once we've received all the information that's necessary for us, hopefully we'll be able to supply you with a conditional offer. And if we do that, we'll email that across to you, and that will contain all the information you need to know about what you need to do to meet those conditions. And also, if you're applying for one of our business school courses, it'll give you details about how you pay your deposit and the deadlines for you to do so.
And for students applying from a different country, is there anything else that they also need to think about?
Yeah, so students applying from different countries, you can either choose to apply independently, or many of them choose to apply using an agent. It's completely personal preference, and it's up to your own circumstances. When you're applying from overseas, you might want to look at what funding is available, and you'll be able to look at this by going onto our website, where we'll list all our different scholarships that are available to you. But we won't just list our own as well. You can go on there and check external scholarships that are available. And there'll also be some search tools as well, so you can independently go away and research what might be the best option for you. There's a few other things that you need to consider. Some courses require ATAS for international students. If your course is one of those, once you've accepted our offer, we'll provide you with all the details and all the steps that you need to take to get your ATAS granted. But I would say it's important to start that process as early as possible. Sometimes that can take a while to come through, and we wouldn't be able to issue you with your CAS until you've had your ATAS granted. International students could also receive an English language qualification condition, in which case we'll list on our website all the different qualifications that are available. There's lots of different ones that we accept, and it'll also give you advice on what grade you need to achieve to meet that condition of your offer. Yeah.
Perfect. And if you think about results, so what should applicants do when they have just received their results?
So once you've received your results, it's important to get them to us as early as possible. Even if you haven't met the conditions of your offer, we would ask you to upload them and get them to us. There are circumstances when people who haven't fully met the conditions of their offer can still be accepted. We won't know that's the case unless you provide us with your results. To provide the results, you go to your My Nottingham account and you'll upload them. We'll ask you to provide a good quality scan, or if it's not in its original form, we would ask for a colour certified copy, and that's translated into English if not in its original form. If you have multiple conditions that are outstanding with your account, I'd also recommend not waiting until you have completed them all and uploading them together. Do that as and when you complete them, and that'll just help smooth the process through.
And if I'm correct, like postgraduate research applications can have a few differences. Could you tell us more about those?
Yeah, so for postgraduate talk courses, mostly they'll start in the autumn. With research courses, you'll find that quite a few of them will have start dates throughout the year. If you're in a position where you might want to start earlier or later, then have a look at the course start dates and see what's available for you to apply to. One of the biggest differences with research courses is the research proposal or the research topic, and finding a supervisor that matches that research before you put through an application. If you go on our website, you can find all our different academics, research topics and research areas, and you can find out which one that matches you. And lots of our applicants will choose to contact them or email them in advance to talk through whether they have capacity to take on extra researchers or to talk through their proposal before they submit their application. If you know what funding that you're going to have at that point, it's also a good idea to include that, because researchers do have a small capacity, so any extra information that you can give them is beneficial to that process. You will also find that some supervisors will advertise studentships on our website. If you're applying for these, they have different application processes to a normal postgraduate research application. So it's worth just taking time to go through that process and make sure you understand it and do everything that you need to do. And other research opportunities or other funding opportunities, you might want to look at different research councils, and again they'll have their own application processes. This will all be detailed on their websites and it will be quite complex, but it's just worth taking the time out to make sure you understood everything before submitting those applications.
And if you had one piece of advice for anyone considering an application, making an application, what would that be?
So there'll be deadlines on our website for pretty much every part of the application process. We'll open for new applications the 1st of June, so that's about 15-16 months before the start date of the course. But my biggest piece of advice was to do everything as early as you possibly can. So although there will be deadlines, things like courses will close before the deadlines if they become full. Some processes like ATAS or applying for visas can take longer than you expect. So if you're in a position to start part of the process, don't delay. Try and avoid any disappointment that you might have by something closing or by something not coming through in time.
Thank you so much for this informative session, Dave. And we'll be right back after this.
We now welcome Teresa Cochrane from the Careers and Employability Service, who'll be talking us through the support available to postgraduate students to help them with the next step in their careers. Welcome to you, Teresa. So first of all, what's some of the support that you offer to both students and graduates?
So we are a really well-resourced team overall, the Careers and Employability Service. We have about 80 staff members supporting our students. So within that, we can offer a range of support. If students don't know what they want to do, they can come and see us. We can help them with diagnostic tools to help them to figure out their personality styles, their preferences, their interest areas. And from that, we can help them to direct them into the careers that might suit them. We also offer a range of appointments that students can book into, whether that's online or in person. And that will help us to kind of talk to students about the things that might support them in their chosen career. So if they don't know what they want to do, we can help them work that out. If they really have a clear idea, we can help to point them to some of the resources, events, and extracurricular activities that might help them. In addition to that, we have lots of support in terms of our events. So our students can book onto employer events where they can meet employers, network with them, find out about the industries that they're interested in. We also offer support in terms of workshops from our career development staff. So if you are struggling perhaps in interview skills or with making applications, we can talk you through how to do that in the most effective way. And in addition to that, we have support resources that can help with all aspects of the recruitment process. So from interview skills, CVs, employer testing, we even have AI-driven CV review software that our students can use.
And does the university help students connect with potential employers?
Yes. So if you are a postgraduate student or maybe an international student, you might have been to careers fairs in overseas universities. It works slightly differently in the UK. We have a range of careers fairs that our students can attend. It won't be a process of offering our students jobs on the spot like it might be in campus recruitment overseas. I know that takes place in China and India. In the UK, it's more about understanding the roles, thinking about how that recruitment process will take place, all the different aspects within that, and maybe how our students can prepare for that. So for example, some of our employers will come on campus with recent graduates, talk them through what it's like to work in that organisation, the culture, the expectations. They might even bring in something like gamification assessments so that our students can practice those at our careers fairs, and really just to understand what it might be like to work with that organisation. We are actually the third most targeted university in the UK by some of the top employers in the UK. That was from some research last year that came out. So that means that lots of the top employers are actually on campus in our fairs. Those can range from our finance management fairs to veterinary schools to science, technology and engineering. So there's a whole host of different fairs that are available for all of our students. In addition to that, employers often come on campus and offer events to help our students with skill development. Students can book onto that through our online portal. And we also have lots of ways that our students can engage with employers. So we offer micro internships, which are 2-week placement opportunities where students can undertake a project just for 2 weeks with an employer, gaining skills in research, analytical skills, communication skills, team working, and maybe just meeting a deadline on time as well. Postgraduate Placements Nottingham is a scheme that we run in the university specifically for postgraduates. That would offer our students about 100 to 200 hours of work with an employer, and we're really aiming for those higher level skills, so analytical skills, research, being able to independently work on a project for an organisation. So they're great ways, they're paid opportunities and great ways for our students to engage with employers. In addition to that, we also have other in-curricular and outside of curricular activities. So some of our students will choose to do their dissertation as a project for an employer. So they will undertake research for an employer, solve a problem that they might have, but also gain credit in their course for that kind of activity. And we also offer activities outside of the course. So we have a a programme called our Digital Marketing Academy. So that is a programme where students work for about 3 months. They'll gain qualifications in things like digital skills, search engine optimization, maybe Google Analytics qualifications. They'll also work with employers who are working in the digital marketing space to gain insights and experience. And then they'll at the final stage of that project, they'll work with that employer to solve a problem for them. There's another programme we have called the Nottingham Consulting Challenge, and within that, that's a 6-week programme, a chance for our students to work in a group project with employers to solve a problem for them. So that would be getting a chance to work with lots of other students from across the university, developing communication skills, team working, analytical skills, producing a presentation right at the end of that and alongside a report. So there are so many opportunities. Our students won't be able to do all of them, but they will hopefully be able to fit something in around their studies.
And what are some of the resources that they can access from the Careers Service whilst they're studying?
Yeah, we've got a really good wealth of resources for our students. So these can range from anything like the diagnostic tools I talked about earlier. So that might be the Myers-Briggs type indicator, personality profiling. A lot of our careers consultants are trained in strengths profiling as well, so that's a way that we can help students to understand themselves better. We also have some more practical resources to help with things like recruitment and selection processes. So we've invested in AI CV reading software. That's really helped our students to understand how their CV might be read by an employer, and to hopefully help them to pass through that process more easily. It's also helped the careers team to understand what employers are doing in terms of screening those CVs and applications. So that's one aspect. We also then have employer testing software. So our students can get experience of doing situational judgment tests, which are very common with employers, numerical tests, logical reasoning, a whole host of different assessments that might be presented to them in a recruitment exercise. They'll do the assessment, find out whether they are going too quickly and not very accurately, or vice versa. They'll also get feedback on their answers, and that will allow them to hopefully get the right answer next time. There's lots of feedback on what the correct answer might be. So hopefully that will allow our students to increase their performance in employer tests. We have video interview resources, which again give AI feedback, but also feedback from one of our careers consultants. And those video interviews can be tailored around specific job roles. So if a student's going for a specific job, it's actually going to be a video interview. We can tailor that interview to be a realistic kind of simulation of what might happen. That will always be subsidised with feedback from our careers consultants to make sure that students can really improve their performance in things like interviews.
And do you offer any support for international students or students that don't want to work in the UK when they graduate?
Yes, we have some specific support packages that will help our students if they are looking for work in the UK but don't have the permanent right to work in the UK. It will help them to identify at least 300 employers who have been hiring consistently international graduates over the last 3 to 4 years. That will cover a range of different sectors. We are also well versed in visa and immigration rules, so we work closely with immigration advisors, solicitors, and also with the visa and immigration team within the university. So we make sure that all of our staff are really well trained in that area of work, so we can provide information to our students to really help them to maximise their chances of being employed within the UK under the rules and regulations that are in place. If you're wanting to work outside the UK, we also host a range of events, information and resources to support. So we have a package of support which will allow our students to see things like CV conventions, labour market information for lots of different countries and cities overseas. That will help them to then make their applications more effective. and we build relationships with lots of overseas employers. So, for example, next month we're hosting the Asia Career Insights programme for our students. That's 4 days of employer talks from Chinese employers, those from Southeast Asia, Hong Kong and Singapore. So lots of opportunities for our students, even if they want to work overseas. We regularly also host information sessions to our students about working overseas. So we have a China Connect, India Connect and Africa Connect programme that I've been involved in, and that has involved employers and people with labour market insights for overseas countries to come back and provide advice to our students and to our graduates as well.
Teresa, thank you so much for joining me today, and we will be right back after this. I'm now joined by Liz Havel, Business Support Manager, to tell us more about accommodation options for postgraduate students. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
So, my first question, how do I book my postgraduate accommodation through the accommodation services if I'm coming to the University of Nottingham?
So the best thing to do would be to visit our accommodation website. So it's nottingham.ac.uk/accommodation. And there's lots of helpful information on there about how postgraduates can apply for their accommodation. Also, we've got some advisors that can support. So if they want to get in touch, we've got a contact us section. Any questions about the process, about applying, or any other information that they want to ask or consider, then they can get in touch either using an online form on our website. They can have a one-to-one Teams chat and send us an email, or we've got a live chat function on our website as well. Applications open in mid-April, so postgraduate students can apply anytime from mid-April.
And what are the benefits of booking your postgraduate accommodation through the accommodation services itself?
We would always recommend postgraduates book through the University of Nottingham accommodation services for the simple reason that we've got such a big portfolio of accommodation. That's both accommodation that's owned and managed by the University of Nottingham and carefully selected accredited partners that we work with. We've got a real good mixture of on-campus and off-campus accommodation, and booking through us means that students, postgraduate students, will secure the best prices available and live pricing at that time for our accommodation.
And in terms of, where postgrads are going to live, are they together with undergraduates, or is there any sort of separation?
So we have a mixture. We have postgraduate accommodation specifically, and then we have accommodation where it is mixed with postgraduate students and undergraduate students. But what I would say is where that accommodation is mixed, we try to keep those students in clusters, so all postgraduate students would be put together in that accommodation. So although it would be a mixed site, it would be specifically postgraduate students that would be placed together.
And in terms of what facilities are available, is there catering or self-catering options, and how does it work in terms of like kitchens shared or to the students themselves?
Okay, so with our postgraduate students, it's self-catered accommodation that we offer. I would always say check our website for specific facilities that are available in that accommodation. They can also have a virtual tour of all accommodation types, so it's always well worth just having a check. There is shared kitchens, there could be private kitchens, again depending on the accommodation. So it's always worth checking. Also, we have a meal pass app, so postgraduate students, even though they're self-catered, they can download the Meal Pass app, and it's a cashless system where they can purchase food and drink on campus outlets, and they get offers and discounts that are on that app as well. So if they did want to have some form of catering that's on campus, then they could have a look at the Meal Pass app, but otherwise it tends to be self-catered.
And in terms of where students will be living, how far are the accommodation options from, you know, the teaching and departmental buildings?
What I'll say is that we're an on-campus university, and we've got that on-campus accommodation. So we've got accommodation that can be selected that's very close to academic buildings. We've got off-campus accommodation. You could stay on one campus but study on another campus. So it really is choice. So I would always say check where the academic building is, check where the accommodation is, and you'll be able to do a check on the internet just to find out what the exact distance is for that property. But everything is accessible within reason. So we run if you are further out and you're off campus, we've got the hopper buses that run between all of the university campuses, so Sutton Bonington, Kings Meadow campus, University Park, Jubilee, the Royal Derby Hospital. So students have got access to those buses, and we've got great public transport in Nottingham as well. But I would say that most things are fairly close to academic buildings, but it just depends on the specifics of which accommodation and which academic building.
And how can students find out how much each different type of accommodation will cost them?
So again, I would say visit our website, so nottingham.ac.uk/accommodation. We've got all of our pricing on there. You can filter through accommodation, so you can filter specific postgraduate accommodation, and you will get all of the licence terms. You'll get the virtual tours and the pricing that's on the website. Postgraduate licences tend to be based on 51 weeks. So it's always worth having a look at the licence term, and depending on what you want from your accommodation would depend on the cost of the accommodation. But we try to offer reasonable accommodation for most budgets. And once again, if postgraduate students are booking through the university website, then they've got access to the best prices at that time.
And what's in place to help students settle into postgrad life once they're settled in their accommodation?
So once they're settled in accommodation, we've got our residential experience team that are ready to support them. So our residential experience team, they can run activities, social activities. They can get postgraduate students involved in networking with other students and making friends. And then also we've got a dedicated wellbeing team. So there's lots of support once settled into our accommodation. We've got our welcome points for our halls teams. So if postgraduate students are staying on campus, they're able to access support through our welcome points. Our third parties have dedicated teams of staff that are available to support security and residential support staff.
Liz, thank you very much for that.
you.
And we will be right back after this. It's now time for us to wrap up the event. We hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we have and that you've now got a greater feel for what studying at the University of Nottingham is like.
There was a lot of information in the event today, but don't worry. You'll be able to watch this video back on the same link you used to access today's event shortly after it finishes.
If you've asked any questions, you'll get a direct reply from our team. So keep an eye on Slido for a response if you haven't had one already. And remember, you can find out more about anything we've covered today by visiting the website.
Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you at the University of Nottingham very soon.